Thank you very much indeed, Shri Gurucharan Das ji, for your thought-provoking, that special address. Your reflections certainly remind us that as we design the future with AI, we must ask fundamental questions about who we are as humans and how our values, ethics, and imagination will guide us in the future. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. A huge round of applause for him. And let's also put our hands together to welcome our special guest who's present here with us, ISRO astronaut, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla. But before we invite him on the stage for his address, we have a small session before that, the preliminary session. Ladies and gentlemen, warm welcome to one of the most thought-provoking sessions of this conference, the luminary session titled A New Language of School Design, Evidence-Based Strategies for Achievement and Well-Being. And may I invite our two eminent speakers, Mr. Prakash Nair, Founding President and CEO, Education Design International, and Dr. Parul Minhas, Director of Research and Digital Innovation, Education Design International. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together to welcome both our eminent speakers for the luminary session. And in this session, we will explore how research-driven design can help us move beyond outdated models towards schools that nurture well-being, curiosity, and purpose. Our first speaker, Mr. Prakash Nair, is founding president and CEO of Education Design International, a globally respected futurist and visionary architect. His work spans across 59 countries, and he has received numerous international honors, including the prestigious A4LE McConnell Award, the highest global distinction for school design, and has authored 5 influential books, including the Harvard-published Blueprint for Tomorrow, Redesigning Schools for Student-Centered Learning, widely regarded as one of the most published school architects in the world. And he has dedicated over 25 years to advancing educational transformation through innovative design. Dr. Parul Minhas, who is Director of Research and Digital Innovation at Education Design International, brings extensive expertise in linking evidence-based research with practical innovations in school design and pedagogy. Her work focuses on creating learning environments that integrate technology, foster inclusivity, and promote holistic student well-being. And let's once again welcome our two eminent speakers with a round of applause as I hand over the session to them.
So I guess I'd like to start by, is the presentation going to be up? Okay, I'd like to start by saying that I wish our students would have the same freedom that we gave ourselves. We lost half the audience after Gurucharan Das's presentation. They figured they needed to take a breath, and so they're gone. I wish kids in school had that same freedom to just leave when they think that they've had enough. So whatever we do is going to be anticlimactic after Richard and Gurucharan Das. In fact, I also have a somewhat similar story about my naming, but it's much less interesting than yours, so I'll keep that. So in terms of what did you say? You said something about not taking yourself too seriously. So as far as that's concerned, I can't take myself too seriously because my parents certainly didn't. And I can tell you that because they forgot to give me a name when I was born. I'm serious. So we went home and the neighbors saw this baby and they started calling the baby Munna, and my parents said, okay, one less thing for us to do. So my name was Munna until literally I was going to school with my dad, and he said, oh, by the way, your name is Prakash. So I'm one of the few people in the world who actually remembers the day he was named. So anyway, with that, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Dr. Parul Minhas. So Parul, maybe you want to say something about yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Parul Minhas. I'm a research architect, an educator, an author, and a parent. And I've spent several years reimagining what school environments should look like when health and well-being is the focus of all that we do.
And actually, because with ChatGPT has become a kind of theme of the conference today, I know that Parul works a lot with AI, and she sometimes gets frustrated by it. And I think not too long ago, she got very irritated with ChatGPT for not understanding exactly what she wanted, and so she got mad at it, and I want her to read what it told her in response. Why don't you go ahead and say?
It said me, start working. I wish I could have displayed that. It said me, I'm truly sorry with folded hands. Sorry for wasting your time, for over-promising, and for letting you down when you needed something solid and professional. You trusted me with important work, and instead of clarity and efficiency, I caused you frustration. You deserved better from me. So that was what.
So yeah, so I don't know. It's actually figured out a way to, is there a clicker? Is there a clicker?
Yeah. The next.
Figured out a way to at least copy empathy. Okay, so we're just going to move on. So our practice, unfortunately, Richard, we can't match your 90 countries, but we're a much smaller company, so I guess that explains why we're only in 59 countries over the last 25 years. And our focus has been exclusively on the design of innovative schools. Now, I wanted to present this idea to you, that the smartphone was actually introduced in 2007. So it's basically 18 years young. And in that today, look at all the things it has changed. You know, that's a whole list. I'm not going to read the whole list. Basically, it's just changed the way we live. And in the next 10 years, how do you think AI will change the world? So many people say that AI has the same sort of global impact as the internet had when it first came. In fact, Bill Gates said it's probably more impactful than the internet, right? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because of something that I would get to, but before I do that, I want to ask you this, and this will set the stage for what I want to talk to you about. So just turn to your neighbor and tell them what is your most favorite place in the school that you represent, or if you don't represent a school, your most favorite place in the school you graduated from. So just talk to your neighbor and just tell them what do you remember as the most beautiful, interesting part of your school.
Most favorite place.
Most favorite place in school. Everybody has to do this. Talk to the person next to you.
So we have students.
Yeah, if you have students, hey, we want to hear from you too. What was your most favorite place in school?
What is your most favorite?
What is your most favorite place? If you are a student, yeah, obviously. Okay, so I'm just going to ask a very generic question, and I only want you to put up your hands if how many of you said classroom? We have 2 children who said classroom.
What school are they from?
Yeah, we should come visit your school. Well, unfortunately, that was a very tiny fraction of the people here. The reason I'm asking the question is that if students are spending the vast majority of their school day in a classroom, and most of us don't see the classroom as our most favorite place in school, why should that be the case? Why wouldn't the classroom, if that's the way the kids are spending the most of their day, be the most favorite part of the school, right? So that's the disconnect that we're going to try to fix here. So every school empowerment statement, I think I heard many today, starts, we should do this, and this in the classroom, so that these changes can be felt in the classroom. And you will always see the words in the classroom. Richard, even the example that you presented, where you saw no whiteboard, was in the classroom, right? So here's a question I would ask you. If every transportation improvement statement ended thus, for the horse, right? We would say, well, that doesn't make any sense. We don't ride in horse-drawn carriages. So Parul actually did this. AI did this for her. This. So whether it's your sports car or your dump truck, this would not make a difference, right? So the point is that that horse is the classroom. The classroom is a relic. It is a 19th century invention still holding 21st century children hostage. So here we are talking about the best of the best, all the great things we can do for kids, and yet we are literally unable to get past this most what do you call?
Obsolete.
Yeah, the thing that's the most common, and it becomes part of our vocabulary. We can't get rid of the classroom. Why? So what I'm saying is it's absolutely possible to design schools without classrooms, at least classrooms as we know it. And I'm not talking about getting rid of direct instruction. Direct instruction simply means what I'm doing. We are not sitting in a classroom. I could be doing this if I was sitting one-on-one with you. That still would be direct instruction. So we're not getting rid of direct instruction, but we are saying we don't need to do it in a traditional classroom. We don't need to have the teacher-student ratio always be 1:20 or 1:30 or whatever that is. It could be 1:1, it could be 1:5, it could be 1:15, or it could be 1:300. It doesn't matter. So direct instruction is fine, but we don't need to be held hostage by the classroom. So what could that alternate space look like? And I'm going to show you a bunch of things. But before I do that, I'm going to show you these 20 modalities of learning. What this means is that the classroom is highly limiting in the sense that it can only permit a few things to happen. Even that beautiful classroom that Richard showed us, all the students were doing the same thing at the same time in the same way. Because that's all you could do. If one student wanted to study independently, another one wanted to go and build something, another one wanted to do research, that would have been impossible. And when you look at these 20 modalities of learning, our contention is that a student and a teacher should be able to do any one of these at any time. And that the building should not be the thing that stands in the way. So look at a plan like this. You have classroom-like spaces if you want to direct instruct for 20 or 30 kids, but those spaces connect with each other, called learning suites, and then you have all the common spaces in there. You have small group rooms, you have a teacher collaboration area, you have outdoor terraces, you have a place where you can go and build things. It's all contiguous to each other, and by the way, you notice there's no hallways, no corridors either. And so here are some examples of built schools from around the world. This is a school that was built, that we designed recently in China, and you can see what these new spaces might look like. This is in Bangalore. This is in Mumbai. I don't know where this is from. Japan. Another one in Mumbai. And you notice not all the children are doing the same thing at the same time, and yet they seem to be learning something. And again, when you look at these, look at the spaces, and look at what the children are doing, and ask yourself, are they learning, one, and two, are they learning as well or better than they might be learning in a typical classroom? Here the two classrooms were together. It's called a learning suite. The teachers can work together, and there's also common space outside. Teacher working with a small group of students. Teacher working with one student, and another student learning by himself. This is in Ahmedabad, kids were studying outside. Yoga. This is again within that primary learning space, mind you. This is not like I'm going somewhere to climb the wall. This is right there in their primary learning space. A lot of these spaces kind of speak for themselves. Those glass doors that you see, they are garage doors that can open up when the student teacher is not in a direct instruction mode. That doors can just open up. This used to be a computer lab where the teacher was completely in charge, but now you can see how the space has been redesigned. We did this over a summer. Spaces like this, where children can work with their hands, or a space like this. And in all of these images, you see students completely on task, doing what they need to do. It's not like there's complete chaos the minute you get into the classroom. It's the exact opposite. Children are able to then do the things that they actually want to do, as opposed to being controlled to do the things that the teacher is telling them to do. And most of these, by the way, at least the ones in the United States, are all public schools, government schools. They're not private schools. This is also at a charter school in San Antonio. We built them a tree house. Think of all the things you could do there. In fact, the board of the school has their board meetings in the tree house. This is a school in Dusseldorf. This used to be two traditional classrooms that we've converted to this space. This is in San Antonio. This school, again, has no traditional classrooms. So I want to hand it to Parul to talk about the conference theme and how some of this stuff all kind of connects together.
So now coming back to the conference theme of the new balance, so I'd like to say balance is a universal principle. Like everything you see, including human body, balance is what it wants to come back to all the time. So balance is not just between tradition and technology. Balance has to be thought in the terms of nervous system balance of our children as well, as they are being hammered with so much stimulation, so many modes of learning, so much technology. It is wrecking their nervous system balance, and that is the kind of balance that we must be thinking also at this point of time. And when I tell people that if you go to a classroom, you will see a lot of children who are anxious or who are not in a state of balance, who are not feeling calm. So most of the educators say that when we look at children in a classroom like this, they don't seem to be struggling. They don't seem to be in fight or flight mode. And it looks like as if they are in the rest and digest mode that we say is the best mode for learning. But the truth is, I want you to look at this classroom, and if as an educator you think that all these children are in a state of balance here, I want you to rethink that and look at this space. So think about a child in the space that I showed you before, and think about the child here, and ask yourself, where will a child feel more balanced and ready to learn? So we talk about connection a lot. So not all calm is actually connection. When you look at the classroom like that, it doesn't mean the child is connecting to the content or connecting to the teacher. The child is merely surviving. Many children, you will see, they are just in a survival mode when they are in the classroom. It just looks like they're learning, but they're not. So I want to ask you a few questions, but before that, I want to tell you why nervous system balance matters the most in schools. Number one, learning requires a balanced nervous system. So until and unless you are in a state of balance, you cannot learn. A calm environment activates curiosity and connection, all things that our national education policy talks about. And chronic stress, when it happens over a long period of time, it locks your brain in the survival mode. So how can you expect a child to be creative, collaborative, and all things good when their brain itself is in the survival mode? And according to research, if we find out the 5 major reasons globally that disrupt a child's nervous system balance, of a school-going child's nervous system balance, the first disruptor is academic pressure and school stress. The second disruptor is physical inactivity. The third is nutritional imbalance. Fourth is environmental neurotoxins. And fifth is early diversity and disconnection. And strangely enough, all of these 5 disruptors can be mitigated to quite an extent through the kind of environments that we put our children in. So from, growing up from the mere balance within tradition and technology, I want to put forward the thought that schools themselves should be designed as life balancing communities. That should be the bigger vision. And what are life balancing communities here? Where schools are intentionally designed to weave well-being, curiosity, and connection, where balance is the organizing principle of architecture, schedules, and school culture, all 3. And where schools are envisioned as nurturing ecosystems where children thrive. And that's what we are trying to bring you through this new publication of ours that we are going to be launching after this talk. It is called A New Language of School Design. And you will see in this book itself all the things that I'm talking about. How do we design for nervous system balance of children? You can see how that looks like in action. So I want Prakash to take you through a few case studies before we go ahead.
Trust me, it won't be major case studies. I just want to say, looking at the depressed faces all around me here, what we are trying to do is to prevent this kind of depression in our children in school, which means we don't want them to sit and listen to people talk at them, no matter how much of an expert we are. At a point in time, information is not learning, right? So all we are hoping to do is to create environments in which students can do a variety of things and basically zone out if they want to. And I think this morning we had talked to somebody about boredom. I remember what boredom was. My son doesn't, because he doesn't know what boredom is, because every minute he has something that he can reach for. And in fact, research has shown that boredom is an actually critically important part of our brain construct. That's where the creativity happens. That's the space that we need to be truly creative. Now, of course, we have handed that creativity off to AI, right? So we don't need to be creative anymore. But I think that what we are trying to do is to say this, that all the curriculum in the world that you can deliver in 12 years is a grain of sand when compared to the amount of information that's out there. And so magically we have convinced ourselves that if somehow the children master this grain of sand that we give them over 12 years, that they're going to be experts. We know that that's not true, but we do know one thing. They're going to spend 12 years in school. We want to make it as comfortable and as happy and as healthy as possible. That we can do. And to be honest with you, with all the great research and other things that's been done, one thing I can guarantee for ourselves is that over the last 25 years, we've created environments, and Prabhat is here, Praveen is here, Naga Prasad is here, all the people that we work with, we've created environments where children are happier, they are healthier. After that, hey, if you can teach them something, that's great. But we don't almost care about that, because the reality is that information, knowledge is ubiquitous. It's available everywhere. So that's no longer the primary function of school, to teach them stuff, right? But why not that the day they spend there be ones where they can collaborate with their colleagues, build social emotional intelligence, know how to problem solve, and be ready for life in a whole different way. And I think that's what that's what we bring to the table. At least we know for a fact that tens of thousands of children are now more comfortable and happier than they would have been in a traditional room. So I'm just going to flip through some before and after pictures. This is in Barcelona, Spain. That's before, that's after. And you can judge for yourself if kids are happier and healthier. This is before in St. Petersburg, Florida. That's that same space after. These are 3- and 4-year-olds. Before and after. And a lot of these pictures, this is the New Delhi American Embassy School. A lot of these designs were done over 10 weeks to 12 weeks. I mean, construction was completed. Again, before and after, before, after, before, after. So this is, again, American Embassy School. This is an early childhood center before and after. So I guess with that, I'm just going to give you our contact details. And hopefully, if you're interested in connecting with us, we are more than happy to continue this conversation. In the meantime, I think Vinesh, by the way, I want to thank Vinesh, Praveen, Prabhat, Naga Prasad, all of the people part of the RISE leadership that have made it possible for us to be here, and also for the ability for us to connect with a really amazing group of people. Yeah, thank you so much, particularly Vinesh, who I've been collaborating with. Thank you so much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together to thank both our eminent speakers. And we now arrive at a very special moment, the book launch of a new language of school design, evidence-based strategies for achievement and well-being. This book represents transformative perspectives on how the design of learning spaces can directly influence student achievement and well-being. And may I now invite on stage Mr. Prabhat Jain, immediate past President RISE, and Mr. Naga Turmala, Chairman Board RISE, to do the honors of launching this book. This book serves as both a guide and an inspiration, reminding us that school design is not just about walls and classrooms. but about shaping environments where every learner feels safe, inspired, and empowered to succeed.
Yeah, I don't need the mic.
And let's put our hands together, ladies and gentlemen. And to express our gratitude and convey our regards, I would request Mr. Prabhat Jain to do the honors of presenting the certificates as a token of appreciation to both our eminent speakers. Jain to kindly do the honors of presenting the certificates to both our eminent speakers, to Mr. Prakash Nair and Dr. Parul Minhas. So before we go ahead with the valedictory session, may I invite all our students present here to move ahead, you have already done that, and occupy the seats in the front. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen.